Warframe, like every story, has a beginning. While the obvious starting point to onlookers would be right when you boot up the game, most players of Warframe will tell you the story truly begins with Nata and the Second Dream. Up until these two quests, the story is of the system and the conflicts within it. Only once these quests are introduced does it truly become the story of Warframe, with everything up to it serving essentially as world building and tutorials. Nata and the Second Dream is where Warframe truly lays the foundation of its story and larger narrative, while also containing within both these quests the core theme of identity, both for who the Lotus is and what we are. Starting with Nata, this is a shorter quest and is in a way merely a prologue to the Second Dream. However, that's not to say this quest isn't essential and rich in lore, as it sets the foundation for the entire first arc of Warframe, and is how these quests exhibit the core theme of identity. Except in this quest, it is focused on the Lotus's identity. The quest of Nata starts with a secret. After scanning sentient drones, the Lotus disappears for unknown reasons. Up until this point in the world of Warframe, the Lotus has operated as our most trusted and helpful ally. But with her sudden abandoning of us, questions begin to spring up. Why did she abandon us? What are these drones? And why is she afraid? This introduces us to the point of the Nata quest, which is unraveling the identity of the Lotus. Luckily for us, the Lotus is not our only ally to rely upon, and our mentor, Teshin, contacts us in an offer to help. Teshin seems to have a distrust of the Lotus for his own reasons, and knows she keeps the truth from us. To help, he sends us to a Grineer galleon, in an effort to retrieve information in response to his understanding that the Sentients, an ancient enemy of the Orokin, are likely what these ghosts from the past are. Teshin, while stating he will not keep secrets hidden like the Lotus, doesn't tell us everything in an explicit way, such as not explaining what these ghosts from the past are. This serves to illustrate that Teshin is more like the Lotus than his truth and honor-bound warrior ways would allow him to admit. Upon hacking the consoles within the galleon, Teshin gains information on a high-value Grineer and an ancient tomb. Teshin surmises the location of this tomb is likely to be known by the sergeant he attained information on from the galleon. Finding this sergeant also draws the attention of the Lotus, who returns as she sees Teshin endangering us. The Lotus and Teshin are contrasting characters. They use very different methods, and both wish to be the more influential mentor, almost like bickering parents. In Lotus's concerning words, there is seen to be a sense of familiarity with what this tomb houses, referred to by her as the Sentient, which we later find out is the name of a race that fought the Orokin in the Old War, which eventually led to the creation of the Warframes to combat them. The themes of identity in this quest become apparent when the Lotus returns, and in this case, the hiding of one's past to protect themselves from the pain of facing it. Upon getting the location of the tomb, stopping Till Reger from awakening the Sentient is the shared objective of us, Teshin, and the Lotus, even if it means revealing her identity. When we arrive at the location, however, it appears it was a trap set by Till, luring us in an effort to kill us. Lotus immediately readies extraction and it becomes clear we are too late. And the tomb, or rather the cage, is opened, revealing the Sentient. The Sentient calls out a name, Nata. Nata is the Lotus, and in the Sentient's word is said to be his seed. The Lotus's identity is revealed more, despite her best efforts to hide it. Once we extract and return to the orbiter, Teshin prods the Lotus as to whom Nata is, in which she says that this was her old name. The themes of identity in Nata is that of shaping a new identity, and the consequences of an old identity haunting those that leave their old self behind, especially when they refuse to confront it. The Lotus does not want to be called Nata, as this new identity is who she sees herself as, and is the identity she has chosen. The adoption of a new name and hatred of an old name can definitely be viewed as an allegory for many experiences. Continuing on with the quest though, the Lotus advises us to find a way to reseal the tomb by detonating a bomb. Till Reger will not have this be, however, for his own reasons, and sends his forces to stop us. As we defend the bomb during its arming, the Sentient within the tomb monologues to the Lotus, explaining the race of the Sentients and revealing that the Lotus was to fulfill a plan that she did not complete. As the bomb is armed, the Sentient threatens his daughter with a final taunt that the other Sentients will come after her. and so will he. The sentients and their race are an embodiment of the Lotus's past self, a representation of the identity of Nata, and the Lotus desperately wishes to escape it. Once back to the orbiter, the Lotus reveals she was indeed once named Nata, a sentient designed to destroy us. The reason she did not follow the path laid before her was because she wished to have children. The Lotus refused the identity of a murderer, of another cog in the sentient machine, and traded for the identity of a mother. The quest of Nata is one of allowing those close to you to know all the parts of you, affirming your chosen identity, and acknowledging the parts you have grown beyond. The Lotus was Nata, but her identity is hers to choose, and now we shall explore our identity. When the sentient awakened, it was only a matter of time before they saw fit to finish what they started within the old war. And that sentient is named Hunhao. Now allied with the Stalker, he threatens to expose the Tenno's weakness. And to stop them, we must uncover the truth of who we are. The second dream shows us through beautiful storytelling and expert parallels between characters to reveal who we once were and who we wish to be. This is what we are. As the Stalker and Hunhao align themselves in a common goal to destroy the Tenno, the Lotus shares that Hunhao has been invading her thoughts. As established in the Nata quest, the Lotus is the kin of Hunhao, and it is explained in the second dream quest that Hunhao is connected to every part of himself, and that includes the Lotus. The Lotus has discovered that Hunhao and the Stalker are plotting to destroy the Reservoir, the heart of the Tenno. The Reservoir, in a sense, is like our mind. While we have flesh and bone that can be seen, the mind is that which controls it all, and is where we form our identity. Such is the narrative purpose of the Reservoir, a metaphor for both the heart and mind. To stop the Stalker from reaching the Reservoir, the Lotus sends us to retrieve data from Grineer archives, but is surprised to find a message left for her, an offer of help from the ever-opportunistic Alad V. Alad V in this quest essentially operates as a vessel for our reaction to information, and reflects questions that we may ask. However, he also acts as an antagonistic force to the Lotus, offering insights into the old war and history within the Origin system, clearly knowing many things we do not. After we accept the help of Alad V, we head to Uranus in an effort to find the fragments of Hunhao. As Alad V sends us to find the location of a Grineer dig site, we find a fragment of Hunhao. The Lotus uses this fragment to see inside the mind of Hunhao, as every piece of him is connected to the central hive mind. This preventative measure to stop Hunhao and the Stalker from finding the Reservoir, however, inadvertently leads to Hunhao doing just that. As we head to extraction, Alad V teases us, stating we wiped out a civilization. The story of Warframe is like a puzzle, with Nata and the second dream both acting as puzzle pieces. The puzzle in question is finding out the past of our protagonist, and the identity of us, the Tenno. The question at the moment for us is whether we wish to know our identity or not. But more than that, what lengths will we go to protect it? And for a Tenno, the answer is clear. As the source of our power is defenseless, we will do whatever is necessary to defend it, as the Tenno do for all innocent who cannot fight for themselves. And so we follow the Stalker on his trail to the Reservoir. Upon following the Stalker, we battle sentience and enter a void gate. Once in the void, we attempt to find out where we are, but then stumble upon the moon itself, the Orokin capital, Lua. The Tenno heart, hidden on Lua, is by extension hidden in the void. There is a clear parallel between the Reservoir and the source of our power being held within the same place, hidden so those who wish to do it harm cannot reach it. The Lotus hides us away like a mother protecting her children, but we cannot hide behind our mother any longer and must defend ourselves. Hunhao has now discovered the Reservoir, and the Stalker is on his way to Lua. After getting through to Ortis, we are able to extract. Once back on the orbiter, tensions begin rising, as we're getting closer to uncovering the secret of our identity, seemingly only known by the Lotus. The Lotus says this secret drove the Stalker to madness, which is her reasoning as to why she keeps our identity from us. Heading to the moon, the Stalker is initiating a void collapse, which will crush the Reservoir, and crush the heart of the Tenno. The Lotus sees we have no choice but to remove Lua from the void, and return it to its rightful place in the origin system. After disrupting void compasses, we face a security eye and destroy pendulas that keep the moon in the void. Upon completing our mission and escaping Lua, we hear whispers within the void, echoes of Margulis and Ballast discussing demons. But Margulis cares deeply for them. She is the mother the Lotus wanted to become. While this quest is primarily about discovering the identity of the Tenno, it is also a continuation of the Nata quest, as it reveals more of the Lotus's identity as well, and what inspired her new persona of the Lotus. With the moon out of the void, we head to the Reservoir, as Hunhouse fragments can now enter the Reservoir along with the Stalker. As we hurry to the Reservoir, void echoes permeate through the Orican halls on Lua, more of Margulis's past revealed, and her unending loyalty to the children of 10-0. Ballast speaks of transference, and refers to us as devils possessing golems. The questions are in abundance, with little answer, until we reach the Reservoir, and our identity is finally known. As we approach the Reservoir, a pod bathed in water reveals itself, and someone inside. And as this person falls from the pod, so too does our Warframe fall. A final echo from the Orican past reaches us, words from Margulis punctuating the themes of Nata in the second dream.
Dream. Not of what you are, but of what you want to be.
We awake, but not as a Warframe. We awake as our true selves, the true Tenno underneath our shining exterior. Often when it comes to identity and personas, we sometimes create a shell to hide ourselves or to protect others. As we have discovered that the Lotus hid her past as Nata in an effort to protect herself, we now know that we appear no different. It is not just the Lotus shielding this truth from us, but our own memory as well. The Tenno now must be our true selves. We must be what we are, and only through accepting who we are can we become who we want to be. As we awake, cradled in the arms of our Warframe, the Stalker awaits with his blade drawn, but seeing a child makes him halt his plans. The Stalker and us share a moment without words as we both analyze our hands, and the Stalker contemplates his hate. What the Stalker is thinking is unclear, but there is a sense of reflection, a sense of empathy, a sense of understanding what it's like to forget yourself. Hunhow carries on the plan, sending sentients to finish the job, but we unleash our true power and return to the Orbiter. The Lotus advises us to get in the somatic link, but we are greeted by the Stalker, whose hate is once again decisive. We face the Stalker as we charge the somatic link, but are pushed back by a wave of energy. The Stalker stabs the heart of our Warframe, and he grabs us by the neck. Hunhow speaks the words the Stalker won't.
You're asking yourself, was I one of these wretched things? You know the answer. You still hate them. You still hate yourself.
While this line was unclear for a while, and to many may still be, I understand now what Hunhow meant when he compares the Stalker to the Tenno. The Stalker is not a Tenno, but the Stalker hates the Tenno for the same reason he hates himself. He was a slave to the Orican. The Stalker hesitated to kill the Tenno before because of empathy, and knowing what it's like to be a pawn to the Orican. While these two quests primarily are focused on the identity of the Lotus and the Tenno, we also get the beginnings of understanding the identity of the Stalker. Before the Stalker can strike us down, our Warframe unexpectedly gains slight sentience and shatters the blade in its chest. The Stalker is presumably teleported back to his lair as he releases a wave of energy and we are knocked out. The Lotus then enters in the aftermath, carrying us to the somatic link, stating,
Now we fight on two fronts, my child. The war without, and the war within.
a statement emblematic of our rediscovered selves. As the Lotus stands before us, memories of our past return, memories of a mother, of guilt, and of honor. The Lotus tells us to make whole the shattered world we've been given, and so we shall. While the pain of remembrance brings its own troubles, the only way to be what you truly are is to be every part of yourself. Identity is a complicated thing. Some form fake identities and personas to project false strength, garner pity, or simply hide who they are. Some become new identities to run from the past, adapt to a new place, or to simply move on. The quests of Nata and the Second Dream serve as a true realization of what identity is supposed to mean. You cannot be a whole with fragments. The Lotus cannot deny Nata, the Tenno cannot deny the Operator, and the Stalker cannot deny his past. Eventually, you must accept what you are, if there is any hope in becoming that which you want to be. Thank you for watching my analysis of Nata and the Second Dream. I hope to do analysis of other Warframe stories contained in what I call the Lotus Saga, while also keeping up to date with analyzing new developments in the Warframe story. If you like this analysis and wish to see more, I recommend that you like and subscribe, both to improve this video's reach and to be notified whenever I come out with a new project. Thank you, and goodbye.